This oil will grow your hair like crazy, and you only need to use it a minimum of once a week to see results. It's better than Mielle Organics, and we're getting right into it. First thing you need is avocado oil. You can actually use any carrier oil of your choice. And the second one I'm using is castor oil. These two are very interchangeable, but these are the important ones. The first one is rosemary essential oil, my personal favorite. All the benefits of all the oils will be listed on the screen so you can take a screenshot. The next one is peppermint essential oil. Again, we are diluting these into the carrier oils. Essential oils should never be used on their own. The next oil we are using is lavender essential oil. I know it has a lot of ingredients, but if you want a simple recipe, I will link it at the end of this video. The next one is eucalyptus oil, my new favorite. I love it. And next we have tea tree oil, and this one is actually mixed with vitamin E oil, which will help preserve the oil. Now we are getting some dry rosemary leaves. And then the next dry ingredient we are using is moringa powder. And this is the last ingredient. I know, quite a bit, but you won't regret it, okay? So we're going to use the double boiler method. And so you want to get a Pyrex dish, a pan, anything, and put it on top of water. And you are heating the oil using only steam. So whatever pot you use, make sure that the water is hot, not heavily boiling, and the water should not touch the bottom of the bowl or the pan that you are using, because that will be the same as putting it straight on the stove, and you can burn the oil by frying it, which will kind of denature the proteins and all the nutrients we are trying to get. So we are just warming up the oil to extract the benefits of the rosemary and the moringa powder. As you can see, I let the rosemary sit for a little bit so you could see that you don't see anything frying. It's just warm, but you don't want to fry it, okay? So I put a tablespoon of the details are going to be on the screen, okay? Details will be on the screen. Half a tablespoon of moringa powder, a full heaped tablespoon of rosemary needles, rosemary leaves, and then a quarter cup of the avocado oil. Again, like I said, you can use olive oil here, you can use grapeseed oil, whatever oil here. This part is very interchangeable. The most important oils are the essential oils. But if you want to make this exact mix, which is my personal favorite, then you can follow along. Everything or similar items will be listed in the description box below so that you can find them. So I left this to simmer for 15 minutes and just set a timer and stir occasionally, because there'll be no change. Everything will still look the same. You won't be able to tell that it's like done or finished infusing because all the ingredients are dry. So there'll be no color change or anything like that. So just leave it for 15 minutes. And once 15 minutes have passed, you see that the oil has also become very liquidy, almost like water, because it is heated up, but not boiling or frying. And after 15 minutes, like at this point here, you want to take it off the stove, and then you just want to leave it to cool. Depending on where you are and how the climate is, it could take 30 minutes, it could take an hour. Just cover it with a lid so it can finish infusing, and don't worry, there'll be no steam that's going to create water, because there's not enough water content to make steam that would drip water back into the oil. So this is about an hour later, and now I am pouring this oil into a glass jar. You can use plastic if it's all you have, but a glass jar would be the most ideal. A dark jar would even be better, but I never buy jars. I like to reuse and recycle. So this bottle, I don't even know what was in it, probably some kind of peanut butter or something like that. Anyway, I always keep them in a dark cupboard, so that's fine. So I strain all that into the jar, and now it is time to add more of the ingredients. So to this jar, we are only adding one more ingredient, and I will explain why. We are adding castor oil, and I'm using 1/8 of a cup. Now, if you want to make more of this recipe, just double it. If you want to make half, please half it. So castor oil is very thick, and I didn't want the oil to be too thick because I use oil often on my scalp. So the 1/8 of a cup is actually the perfect amount. Now this, I'm only going to get some of the oil out, and the rest of it is going to stay sitting, which I'll show you later on in the video. So the reason why I'm doing that is I don't want the rosemary needles or leaves to absorb any of the essential oils. So for this jar, it just stays like this. I only put the essential oils in the glass jar I will be using daily, which is this dark glass jar. It is also a leftover skincare bottle, and it's nice and dark, and it's perfect. So I'm starting by adding peppermint oil. I add a full dropper, which is about 15 drops. Sorry, that was rosemary oil. Now this is peppermint oil, also a full dropper, which is also about 15 drops. And then we're going to put in lavender oil. All the essential oils, I'm putting 10 to 15 drops. It is all up to you, but this is for a very potent mix. If you've used the Mielle Organics and you think that is too strong, half everything I'm putting here. But if the Mielle Rosemary Oil is good enough for you, then you can stick with this. This is actually stronger than the Mielle one. So as you can see, I'm adding in all the oils, and I also wanted to add the essential oils first so that you can see, one, the level of dilution, and also if you end up overfilling the jar, you make sure that you at least have all your essential oils in and you don't have to put less than you need. So as you can see here, I'm straining the oil and it's pretty thick, as you can see, not too light, not too thick, just perfect. And so now I'm decanting that straight into the bottle. Please use a funnel and a tea strainer if you have it. I don't have any at hand, so I just had to do what I had to do, okay? So as you can see, this is a 50 ml bottle. This should be around 35 mils. You can use as much as you want, but for me, this is gonna last me a couple weeks, so I was good with this amount. And that's what the oil looks like when it is done in the jar. I absolutely love this oil. It is the perfect amount, but wait, let's talk about what we're gonna do with the rest of what we just strained. We are actually gonna put it back in that jar, put the lid on, and this I can actually keep it for like a month or two. So sometimes, because it's like infusing for so long, it has so many weeks, sometimes I may even add the same proportions of the carrier oils back in there and just let it sit and infuse, so that when I want to make my second batch of oil, all I have to do is add in some essential oils into my bottle. So that's just going to be stored away in a dark cupboard where there's no moisture, and we are left with this lovely green, thick, medium oil elixir. It's transformative. Trust me, you need to try it, okay? So now we are going to the application. As you can see, it's an Estee Lauder Night Serum Old bottle, and I really love the dropper, which is why I chose it. Again, I never buy these bottles because why would I buy when I can just reuse old skincare bottles? As you can see, my hair is in a protective style. It is just in these large braids, and I am being quite generous with this oil. If you are putting this on your wash day or for the first time in the week, I would suggest you put way less than what I'm putting, because this oil is pretty thick, so don't be fooled. You will be able to move the oil around in the scalp massage. Just put a couple dots. But if this is the night before your wash day, or maybe 1 to 2 days before you wash your hair, you can apply it the way I'm applying it, which is quite generously. And this leads me to how you should apply it and how often you should apply it. I would suggest you apply this a minimum of once a week. So if you don't like the feeling of oil in your hair, you can just do this the night before you wash your hair, or even in the morning, just leave it in your hair for at least an hour. You can do that if you like. If you like to use it more than once a week like I do, I would suggest the first time you put this on is the first day you wash your hair. Once your hair is like at least a minimum of 80% dry, you can apply this onto your scalp, and then you can go ahead and use it 2 more times during the week. If you're only going to use this once again, but you like the feeling of it in your hair, you can try at least doing it overnight. The maximum I would recommend is 4 times a week, because it's really not necessary to put it every single day. And then a disclaimer, as you can see now, I'm doing a scalp massage. You always want to follow up with a scalp massage, because trust me, you will experience such good benefits if you follow up with a scalp massage. It will move the oil around to anywhere where you might have not put any oil. It's going to help make that oil absorb more into your scalp. It will help open up the follicles, increase the blood flow to that area. Scalp massages are just amazing even without the oil, so it just makes it extra potent when you add an oil. Make sure you don't forget your hairline, but here's a little disclaimer. If you have light colored hair or blonde colored hair, do not use this oil directly on your hairline, because it may tint your hairline a little bit green. But note that it won't actually darken the natural color of your hair. It's just going to give it a slight tint, because the moringa is making the oil quite green. So it may change the color of your hair, but as soon as you wash your hair, it's going to come out. So make sure you are just aware of that when you're applying this oil, but no worries, there'll be no permanent changes to anything. So once that's perfectly massaged into the hairline, if I find myself with any leftover oil on the tips of my fingers, I will just apply that to the ends of my hair to just lock in some of that moisture, and then I will tie my hair back and leave the protective style. Now, if you think that this oil has way too many ingredients, I did make a different oil which has only about 3 ingredients, which is still really good and potent and very beginner friendly. So click that on the side of the screen at the top right there if you'd like to see that recipe. Hit my face to subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in my next one.